Hey, so this is an introduction to how to get started with if statements, if else statements, else if and else statements in Java with basic Boolean operators. So let's start off with a new project to run. So let's call this project Boolean Operators, and let's get started. Okay. So let's go to new class, and let's call this class intro to Bool. And let's remember to create the main, and let's start. So as you know, a Boolean is basically a true or false. So in Java, like, you can just use true or false. In true or false, like if circles are round, true or false, that's true. No, that's like you should know what true or false is. So you can declare Boolean by writing Boolean my bool equals true, and basically I have true. If I print it, maybe it's pretty slow, so wait a second for it to load in. Yeah, video is way too slow. Okay, my bool, it should come up, and let's run it, and my bool is true. So what can I do with Booleans in Java? Well, there are statements that need these Booleans to run, or like, so they require these Booleans. So let's say if I'm hungry, right, then I want to eat food, right? If I'm not hungry, then I don't want to eat food, right? So this basically is like a real life example of how you might want to use Booleans. So let's try to translate this into code. Okay, so let's first start off with a Boolean called Boolean hungry, right? If I'm hungry, this will be true. If I'm not hungry, it'll be false. So let's say I'm hungry, right? I want to eat. So how do I say if I want to eat? If I'm hungry, then I want to eat food. Well, in Java there are these things called if statements. So basically it's just if here, right? So if I have if, and then if I want to do something, if something, then something. So let's try to translate this. So if, right, it takes if I want to call an if statement, I need to have parentheses here, right? Let's say if here is my if blank, and here's inside of these parentheses is my argument, or like is my Boolean statement, then something. So this then, right, is translated as a bracket. So that means that inside of these brackets is what I will be doing if something happens, right? So that's basically if something, then something, right? So let's translate this. If I'm hungry, so if hungry here, I put my Boolean in there, and hungry is true. So that's basically saying if something is true, right? So if hungry, if it's true, right? This statement only runs if it's true. If this argument is true, this statement will run. So because hungry is true, this statement will run something. So then I'll just print I am eating a sandwich, right? So now it's saying if I'm hungry, then I will say that I'm eating a sandwich. let's run it, and oops, what happened? Wait a second. Okay, let's just okay. So it says so in my console I have true, which is I forgot to comment that out. So let's run that again. So that means I'm eating a sandwich because I'm hungry, right? Because hungry is true. That means it runs the statement in here, and if the statement is I'm eating a sandwich. So if hungry is now false, right, then nothing prints because this statement doesn't run because hungry is false. So what do I want to do so how do I do this then? Don't eat food. How do I print that out? I mean, obviously I can say if like, how do I say if not hungry? Well, there are a couple ways you can do it. So I'll introduce you to one of the more basic ways. So in Java, I could say if hungry, right? If hungry here. So this is the same thing here, if I'm hungry. But if I'm saying not, right? Let's say Boolean is if hungry, right? How do I say if I'm not hungry, right? So basically I want to say if hungry is equal to false. If I'm saying if hungry is false, or I'm not hungry, right? If I'm not hungry, that means hungry is false, right? So essentially, if I run if not hungry, well, not in Java is represented by exclamation mark. So that means if not, which is exclamation mark hungry, then I run the statement inside of these brackets, and I can print I don't want your sandwich, right? If I run it, then because it turns out I don't want your sandwich because I'm not hungry, right? Because hungry is false, right? So not true equals false, right? Not true is false, and if something's not false, then it's true. Essentially, this not hungry, right? It's equal to not false, right? Because hungry is false. So not false, that's equal to true. So this statement in here will run because it's not false. So that means it's true. So it runs this statement in here. Okay, so that's not. But what if I don't want just, because Java developers are lazy, right? So we don't want to have all these we don't want to always write these conditions out, hungry, not hungry, right? We don't want to, because when I'll show you how you can write even more statements inside of one of these. You can have multiple statements in one of these parentheses. We don't want to keep writing that out. So another way to say this, if not hungry, or if I have another if here, okay. So if I start with an if statement here, then after the if statement, if I want to have the opposite thing, right, then I write else, right? So else is equal to if not hungry, because if hungry is false, then this statement doesn't run, right? So if hungry, so that means if I'm hungry, then I'll do this. Else, if I'm not hungry, then I'll run this, right? You can see I'll have I don't want your sandwich twice here because hungry is false. So I go to my if statement. If hungry, let's see, is hungry true? No. So let's go to the else statement. I'll print this out. Let's go to the next if statement then. If not hungry, so is hungry false? Yes. So I'll run this statement. So it prints it out twice. So essentially these two things are the same, but you usually want if and else statements instead of just many if statements. Right? So now that we have these booleans, right, let's go to something more complex, because this is pretty simple. If else statement. Let's go to let's see how we can add more statements inside of this parentheses here in this if. So what if I want, let's complicate things. If I'm hungry and I want sandwich, right? So let's say I'm hungry now and I want a sandwich. That means I want to eat a sandwich, right? If I'm hungry and I want a sandwich, how do I say if I'm hungry and I want to eat a sandwich, right? I'll say that I'm eating a sandwich. So if I'm hungry and I want a sandwich, then I want to say eat sandwich, right? So we have the first part of the statement, if hungry. So we have that done, right? That's done now. But let's say, if I want to say, and I want a sandwich, then I want to eat a sandwich. Because if I don't want to eat a sandwich and I'm hungry, then I'll just say, I don't want to eat your sandwich. So how do I say and in Java? Right? That means I can just write two of these and symbols, and that means and, right? So I'll translate this. So, hungry and want sandwich must both be true in order for this statement to run now, because I have this and in here. This statement, if I'm hungry and I want a sandwich, then I want to eat a sandwich. If either one of these are false, then this else statement will run. So I'm eating a sandwich because if both are true. If I change want sandwich to false, it prints out I don't want your sandwich. I can put hungry to false, and want sandwich to true, and I don't want your sandwich, and if both false, right, then I don't want your sandwich. See, it's pretty simple. If I'm hungry and I want a sandwich, these both have to be true in order for this to run. Okay, so what if I'm hungry? If I'm hungry, I still want to eat though, right? If I'm hungry and I don't want a sandwich then. What if I want noodles, right? Then I want to eat noodles if I don't want to eat a sandwich, right? So obviously I could just write if hungry and not want sandwich, right? Because not means if want sandwich is false, I'll run the statement. Not false is true. Want sandwich, right? You remember not. I got obviously write this, right? But what if, because this syntax is really weird, right? Because this if statement has no else, right? So what if? So obviously, this works, right? But in sometimes, I'll write an example out later. Sometimes you don't want this to happen. You usually, if these two things correspond, right? Obviously, if I want a hungry and want sandwich, these two won't run, right? So in order to translate that, you want a thing called else if, right? So that means if I'll run this one, then I'll print this and I'll skip these two, right? If I did not have this else if, it means I'll do this, I'll print it out, I'm going to check the next if statement. If this is true, then I'll skip the else. So else if makes it so that once you run this statement, you skip the rest of these. You can have more than one else. You can only have one else for each statement, because else means everything in the if statement is false and everything in the else if statement is false, right? But I can have multiple else if, right? If I'm not hungry and want sandwich, right? So that means, right, because else now, if I didn't have this else if statement, this would be if I'm not hungry and want sandwich, also, or I'm not hungry and don't want sandwich, right? I spelled this wrong. Oops. Sandwich. Right? Oops. So for these two statements, else will run, right? However, if I have else if here, else if I'm not hungry and I still want a sandwich, right? Then there's a different statement now. I can have more else ifs for every. I can have as many else ifs as I want for every if, but I can only have one else for every if. So I remove this here because I've written this new else if statement, right? So that's basically what this is. What ands do, what else ifs do. Here, one last thing. Right here, I wrote or. Right, how do I translate or to Java? Right, if this or that. Right, before I get to that, let me give this demonstration to show you that it works. Okay, hey, so I've completed these statements now, and I'll just show you that these work. Right, so if I'm hungry and I want a sandwich, then I'm going to eat a sandwich. If I'm hungry but I don't want a sandwich, I'll print out I'm eating noodles. If I'm not hungry and I want a sandwich, I'm confused. Like, why would I be hungry and want a sandwich at the same time? Like, not hungry and I still want a sandwich, whatever. Okay, but if I'm not hungry, if anything else that's not in these statements, then I'll print out I don't want your sandwich. Right? So let's try this out. True, both true. We'll print out I'm eating a sandwich. If want sandwich is false, right? And hungry is true. I'm eating noodles. If I'm not hungry and I want a sandwich, I'm confused. And anything else that's not in these statements, in this case it's both are false, then I'll print I don't want your sandwich. So, okay, so I was mentioning or statements. Now, right, so an or statement means if either one is true. And means both have to be true in order for this to run. Or means hungry, if I want hungry or want sandwich, that means hungry or want sandwich. Only one of the two has to be true for this to run. And you translate or in Java as these straight bars. So this means hungry or I want a sandwich. If I'm hungry or I want a sandwich, I'm going to eat noodles. Right? Because this will run because it checks the if statement first. It goes in order. So if I'm hungry and I want a sandwich, I'll eat a sandwich. Well, if this doesn't run, that means at least one of these has to be false. One or both have to be false because and only runs when both are true. So if I go with this one, obviously at least one of them has to be false. And if only one of them is false, I'm going to eat noodles. If both are false, I'll print out I don't want a sandwich. Right, so let me demonstrate that. True. Let's say both are true. Right. I'm going to eat a sandwich. If I don't want a sandwich, but I'm hungry. If I don't want a sandwich, but I'm hungry, I'm going to eat noodles. If I'm not hungry, but I want a sandwich, I'm going to eat noodles. I don't know why you want to do that, but it's just the code. And if both are false, if I'm not hungry and I don't want a sandwich, I don't want your sandwich. Okay, so that's a basic introduction to Java, Boolean operators. I encourage you to try these out yourself and try to figure out more in depth how these work. See ya. So I forgot to record this in the video, but you here's an example in why you need else if statements. So if I have my cash and my investment, right? So depending on how much cash I put in, my cash increases by 10, or my investment times this number here. So let's just say, because if I put in more than $10, I get 10 times my investment rate. If I put in more than 5 times my investment rate, 3, 2 times, 1 only once, and just make this 3 times actually. And less than 1, I'd get half of it, half my investment rate. So really, I'm trying to say, if I have 11, I want 11 times 10 times 10, which is like 1100. And then that's how much I have. I want to have 1100 plus 5, really. Not 1100. So yeah, I would have 11 plus 1100, which would be like yeah. Well, yeah, okay. So, but instead, so let's say I have 5, right? That means I'll get 3 times my investment, right? That means 5 plus 5 times 5 times 3, which is 5 plus 75, which is 80. And that's how much cash I have now, because that's 2 times my investment. That's what I should have. But instead, I go from this if statement to this one, and it's still bigger than 1. And it's bigger than 1, so that means I have 80, right? I have, which is equal to, let me just show this here, equal to 5 plus 5 times my investment, which is 10 times 3, because of this statement here. Yeah, okay. And then my cash, and then this one, and this is equal to 80, right? Right. That's 80, I think. Wait, what am I doing? Okay, no, that's not 80, that's 5 times 50, that's 155. 155. I'm sorry, okay. So it means from here, my cash will be 155. Right? I should skip this, right? Because this is what my investment is multiplied. But instead, it goes here because of this if statement. It's only an if. So when I run this again, and I get 155 plus 155 times 10. I'm adding these because I have plus equals, remember, because that's my cash, and then I add this. So that should be like some huge number, like 170,000 or something. So 1,705 or something, right? So if I print it out, it'll be 1,705. But it should only be 155. I shouldn't be multiplying it again. So that's why I need else if statements, right? Because I don't want to do any of these extra if statements. I don't run any of these extra statements. So I just have else if in order to just have 155. So yeah, see ya.